One of the questions I get asked quite often while I'm playing my FM game and streaming is, how do you find your regens? Well, there's a couple ways of doing this, and I thought I'd give you guys an example of how I do it, and I found quite effective. So let's see what the recipes for success are. Why develop regens is actually a very valid question. Why would you want to do it? Why not just go out and buy the regens as you need them when your older players start to get too old to play to the standard that you want, or they want to leave or move on? Well, one of the main reasons is obviously the cost factor. Some of the very best regens that you can get would probably put you in the hole of maybe 20, 30, even 40 million pounds. And to have to do that every, say, time that you need to get a new player is just not financially viable. Also, there's the fact that even if you do develop a regen and you find out that he's not quite what you're looking for, he might be what someone else is looking for. And obviously then you can make some good cash off of it. How much time and how much preparation you put into this is a big factor as well. You're only going to get as much out of it as you put into it. Your scout network is probably one of the most important factors of finding your regens. They are your eyes and ears throughout the world looking for young, high potential players that will be coming into your youth team that you will then be developing later on. Now, please understand it will cost you a little bit of money because obviously you will be spending money on the scouting fees. And also, while you're doing this, you're probably going to want to clear out any of the dead wood that you get from your under 18 squads as you get regens coming through. But the money that you're going to be spending on things like this is going to be relatively cheap compared to the money that you'd be spending if you had to go out and actually go buy players. The aim of your youth team pretty much is going to be influx of the best players that you have picked up and are waiting to develop. The other benefit as well is if you do get a quality player from abroad to come to your team at a very young age, by the time he's actually ready to play in your first team, he will have a homegrown status. This will be very helpful if you're doing competitions like, say, Champions League or the Europa League. What your scouts are basically just a net of eyes to quickly find as many youngsters as they can. What you'll then have is hopefully a couple of trusted scouts that will then back up and basically double check to make sure the players that you're going to buy are exactly what you think you're getting. You're not actually looking for a small amount of really high quality reports. You're looking for as many reports as you can get. You're trying to have a complete coverage throughout all the main areas where footballers are produced and developed. To be honest, coverage is actually pretty simple to get. What I tend to do personally is I will actually scout the leagues itself. Some people actually do a roaming coverage of the area, as in Central Europe, Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, etc. But the thing you got to think about is most of these really high potential youngsters are going to eventually filter their way to these big clubs in things like Spain, France, Italy, Germany, Holland, and even England. You might not get them first when they come out, but you'll certainly be getting them for a lot cheaper than if you had to buy them once they're fully developed. The way I distribute my scouts is my chief scout will be my best scout that I have. He will then be doing a world assignment, and his main aim actually is to go scout very interesting players that come up and watch 3 matches. He'll basically be my double checker. He will check to make sure that the player that I'm looking to buy is going to be exactly what I hope to get. If you can afford 2 of them to do it, as in 2 World Scout jobs, then by all means do it. But 1 is one option. To be honest, I wouldn't expect a lot to come up from the World Search. It's normally pretty rare. For the rest of my scouts, I aim to have scouts in all the top leagues in the game. So England, Spain, Italy, uh, Holland, Germany, France. The amount of scouts that you'll be able to put out into these top leagues is really dependent on how many scouts you're allowed to have. You don't want to send all your main scouts out to just the top leagues, because you're also going to have to send out to the young youth teams as well, the under 18s, the under 19s, the under 20s. You want to aim for things like, for example, say Brazil, Argentina, Holland, France. Once again, you can go to Holland, England, Germany, wherever you believe that you're getting good youth production from. Once you've done that, you should then have pretty good coverage. Like I said previously, it's not the quality of the reports that you're getting, it's the quantity that you're looking for. And what you can then do is use the built-in transfer filter tools to then find what you're looking for. If you want to, you can maybe trim it down and say, I only want 3-star players, 3-star potential players to be reported back to me. It's up to you, but you're trying to cover as much ground as you can. Remember, your scout network is utterly vital. Any team that's very good at developing youngsters is also very active in the transfer market. You need to find out where these players are, because if you don't, there will be another team that will poach them. Well, having an effective and efficient scout network is the beginning of youth development. Probably the most crucial part is how you actually organize the club. This will be the thing that separates your club from being an excellent club and a good club. The club itself isn't composed of 3 or 4 different sections of your under 18s, your reserves, and your first team. Get rid of that idea. The main thing to look at is the club is one whole bunch of players trying to improve themselves to win football games. That is essentially what it is. Don't think of your first team as, this is my first team squad, my reserve team, this is the people I don't really use, and your youth team is people who will eventually become good players. Think of it as one single club where every single player is known by you, developed by you, and actually has an overall place in the hierarchy of the club. Worst thing you can do is have too many players. Too many players means that there's not going to be enough match time to keep the players fit, or for you to be able to personally manage. How do you know if your club is too big or poorly organized? Well, the best way of doing it, partway through a season, look at your save, go to your first team, click on the filter and show reserve team, youth team, and hide unavailable, and have a look at how many players actually lack match fitness. Now, obviously don't include the ones that are just coming back from serious injury, because those will always be lacking match fitness. But if you have a lot of players that are lacking match fitness, you have way too many players for you to manage. It is really that simple. There's no other tests that you need to do. If you cannot give match fitness to your players, you have too many. Your youth development pretty much relies on the size of your club and the composition of your club that you're able to handle. Now, this is going to be different for each person that plays it, but what you'll then need to do is, if you find that your club is too big, either get rid of some of them, or find out how you can then get them first team football by either loaning or just sell them. Now that you have all of your youngsters in your youth team, the next step is mentoring. This is a crucial part of developing the actual player itself, and it reaps immense rewards. It's crucial because what it actually does is it develops the player's personality and attitude across all aspects of football, from their determination on the pitch to their actual handling of pressure from the media and controversy and such things. Mentoring is the key to actually improve these stats. These stats are mostly hidden, and choosing your mentor is one of the key factors on making sure that you get 40 million superstar rather than someone who's just like, I can't be bothered today and I really want to go now because I don't like the fact that you criticized my last game. There's a few criteria that have to be fulfilled for someone to be able to mentor one of your players. They are as follows. The tutor must share one accomplished position with the tutee. The tutor must have a higher squad status than the tutee. The tutor must be older than the tutee. And the reputation of the tutor must be higher than the person being tutored. So far, the only stat that tutoring actually raises is determination, so please be aware of this as well, as you could lower the determination of the person being tutored. The other thing to remember about mentoring as well is that also player preferred moves can be transferred over from the tutor to the tutee. This can be very important when choosing who the mentor is going to be, so you want to check to make sure that his player preferred moves is something that you want your player that's being tutored to actually have. I'm going to post a link in the actual YouTube video below of a list of where you can actually see what all the personalities and media handling styles actually mean in regards to the hidden stats. Having a feeder club is a huge asset to the manager. What this effectively lets you do is have more players in your squad than you normally will be able to handle. What this does is it lets you send your players out to another team to get first team football. Now there's two different types of feeder clubs available to the manager. It has nothing to do with an in-game representation or anything else. It's all based on the practicality of managing your squad. The two different types of feeder clubs you can have are this. You can have a holding club for players. They're not great, but you don't really want to sell yet. You think they have an awesome potential, but they're going to need a lot of attention. You just can't give it to them yet. You just want them to get first team football and start to develop. Second type of development club are players that are good, but not quite at your first team football level, but better than your reserves. So you want them to get some football to help them get over that last little hump and start developing so they can start challenging for first team positions soon. Choice of league is pretty easy where you send them to. A league below you for your development club and 2 leagues below you for your holding club. That's pretty easy. What really matters is the manager of those actual teams. I'd personally be looking for someone who has very good motivation, judging player potential if possible, good man management, tactical knowledge, and working with youngsters. You want somebody who can recognize the skill that's available in these players and actually do well by them. You want them to be able to get first team football and develop well while they're actually there. It's going to take a lot of work to find a manager who's good for your feeder club, and to be honest, it's probably going to take a few seasons to actually get really good feeder clubs for your teams. But once you do, you're going to be reaping a lot of rewards. In terms of development, one of the last important things to consider is your staff members. Someone like your under 18s manager can be the difference in helping your players develop, because he could have them get a good run in, for example, under 18s cup, or maybe even just help them, motivate them, and train them. Looking at some of the stats that you're probably going to need for something like this is going to be working with youngsters, man management, level of discipline, motivating, and judging player potential. This is all I'm actually going to do on this video here, just for the actual length of it, but I am going to be doing a second part very soon that's going to discuss in detail more of actually developing your regens. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you found it informative and has helped you along your way in actually developing some of your high potential players into the sort of players that you're looking at getting. Please don't forget to like and follow, and please leave a comment below on how you feel about this video. Like I said, I'm going to be releasing a second part of the video, which is going to go into a little bit more detail about the actual development of players itself, but hopefully this will get you going on getting some players that you're looking to have.